Hey guys, I am here today to do a video I've kind of been putting off, mostly because I want to do it closer to my due date, but also because I feel like I'm really on the fence about most things having to do with my birth plan. So anyways, this video is going to be all about my birth plan. So the first thing I want to mention, and the most obvious, is anything can happen with birth. If you watched my last video, you know I've had 3 very different births. I've had, epidural. I've had Olivia, who came 12 minutes after I entered the hospital, and then Lincoln, who was a longer, more relaxed birth. So I kind of feel like I've had the whole caboodle of births, except obviously a cesarean. And through these, I've learned it's great to have a birth plan and a goal and something you're working towards, but it's not necessarily going to happen the way you want it to. So I'm calling this my rough draft birth plan, which if you can say that 3 times fast, you're amazing, because it took me a lot of tries yesterday when I was practicing. Rough draft birth plan. Anyways, let's get right to it. The first thing I want to mention is I don't write down my birth plan. I know a lot of people will write it out, print it out, take it with them to the hospital, hang it on the door, that kind of thing. I have written a birth plan and printed one for Olivia and Lincoln, and both times I never hung it up. I never thought to bring it out. It just never was used, and I always felt like even if I did hang it up, not that the nurses wouldn't care, but I just feel like they're busy and I don't want them to have to sit down and kind of read a thing. So if I do decide to print something, it would definitely be like just a couple lines. But as of now, I'm not planning on having any sort of official written down birth plan. The other reason I don't feel like I need a written down birth plan is I'm really comfortable with my doctor and my hospital. It's the same doctor and hospital I used with Lincoln's delivery, and they were just very supportive. Again, we live in a very small town, so obviously the hospital we go to is a smaller hospital. Last time with Lincoln, we had our own nurse. They had 3 laboring mothers that day and 3 nurses. So we got a lot of attention. She was very aware of our needs and what we were doing and what was going on, and it just wasn't an issue. And I see that being a very similar experience to what we'll have with this one, just because it is a smaller hospital. And again, with Lincoln's, they offered me Pitocin a couple times, but I was able to turn it down, and I never felt like they were pushing their desires on me. So that was really nice, and I feel like they're going to respect and kind of go with the flow with what I'm doing. I would like an unmedicated birth. That's my goal. I have had an unmedicated birth with Olivia and Lincoln. Lincoln, I did have the IV medication, but it wasn't like an epidural. So as far as that goes, that is kind of what I'm shooting for. I'm planning on using Hypnobabies, which is a relaxation technique to help you get into a self-hypnosis mode and relax through the contractions. I've used it with, I used it with Olivia a little bit, but mostly with Lincoln, and it worked really well for me. So I'm hoping to do that again this time. So when I go into labor, again, it depends, because I could have an Olivia labor where it's 3 hours super fast, or I could have a Lincoln labor where, it was a little bit longer than that. So depending on how labor is progressing, I would like to stay home as long as possible. Our hospital is about a 30-minute drive away, 40-minute drive, and there is literally nothing in that drive. There is a wasteland, some scattered neighborhoods, and a gas station. There is just nothing. So I know I have to plan it right, because I do not want to have this girl in my car for a plethora of obvious reasons. So as much as I'd want to labor at home, I will obviously have to make sure to go early enough that it's not a stressful drive and it's not me freaking out the whole time that I'm going to deliver in the car. At home, I mostly see me just taking it easy, hanging out. I would love to go into the bath or the shower, just be comfortable in my own space. If I could, I would have a home birth, but we just don't have midwives out here, and it's not an option, unfortunately, for where I live. So I would like to stay at home as long as possible. I feel like you're more comfortable in your own environment, and then that temptation of getting pain medication is less. Once we're at the hospital, I definitely want Greg to stay with me as much as possible, be in the room at all times. I'm not planning on having anybody else in the room. It's not that I'm opposed to that. I've actually, as I've had my kids, gotten less and less opposed to having people there. I feel like every time I just get more open with my body, and I'm like, sure, you want to see the baby come out? Come on down. But again, we live 3 hours from family, and I don't think they will get up here fast enough for the delivery, and it would be a long drive, and then to miss it would be really awful. So as of right now, I'm just planning on Greg and I being in the room for the birth and the laboring part. We will not have visitors until after the baby's born, and it will probably be just our kids and Greg's parents at that point, because they are driving up to our house to watch our other 3 children while we're at the hospital. So they will bring them to meet their new little sister. Once I get into my room, again, hypnobabies, they encourage you to have as relaxing an environment as possible. So we will definitely have the lights down. I will be wearing headphones and listening to the hypnobabies tracks. With Lincoln's birth, I spent most of my time, I spent all of my time kind of just in the bed, laying in the most comfortable position I found and just relaxing through my contractions. That is kind of what I'm expecting this time. I would like to not have an IV. Really, the only reason you'd have to have an IV is if you're having an epidural. Last time my hospital insisted that I had just the start in my hand. It actually wasn't connected to anything, and that was okay. It's not my ideal situation with the IV just because it's uncomfortable, and last time it was distracting when I was trying to relax and breathe and focus on myself and my body and having this baby. I didn't like the distraction of it. But with Lincoln, I did hemorrhage after his birth, and having the IV there and able to get me medication quickly was necessary, and I was grateful it was there at that point, because obviously I would not like to bleed out. So if they insist on giving me one, I will definitely have the IV starter, but I don't plan on being hooked up to any medication except for if I'm strep B positive, obviously, then I will have to have the antibiotic. Going with that, my only complaint with my birth with Lincoln last time is they made me wear a blood pressure cuff the entire labor, and it still makes me mad when I think about it and annoyed, because when I labor, again, I do hypnosis, and it's not the easiest program for me. It takes me a while and takes me quite a bit of effort to get into that self-hypnosis, and I feel like every time I had reached that point where I felt relaxed and in myself and aware, then the blood pressure cuff would go off, and it would be totally distracting and take me out of my self-hypnosis, and I'd have to start all over again, and the pain obviously is getting worse as time goes on, and so it's getting harder and harder and harder to get back into that self-hypnosis, that super relaxed state. So that is definitely something I'll be talking to my doctor about, and that would be, if I did any sort of birth plan written down, that would be on there, that you can monitor my blood pressure for the first hour or so. If there's no issues, no problems, I will not be wearing it, period. Like, I am pretty adamant about this. I am fine with continuous monitoring on the baby. I have no problem wearing those heart rate monitors or anything like that. You know, I will tell you if I feel off, or maybe we can come to a compromise where it's every 2 hours you can come in and take it. But as of right now, I am not planning on wearing that dang blood pressure cuff because it was seriously awful, and it was the worst part of my birthing experience, and I'm just not doing it again. So again, that's definitely something I'll keep you guys updated on after I talk to my doctor and after we talk to the hospital about their policy on that and see what we can do. As for pain medication this time around, like I said, I would like an unmedicated birth as much as possible with as few interventions. Again, I understand medically sometimes you need a cesarean or something like that. You never know how babies are going to react, or your body, or circumstances, and that's fine. But I would like as unmedicated as possible. This time, actually, I am more on the fence about getting an epidural. Again, I got epidural with Bentley, and then I did it with Livy and Lincoln. And I don't know, I can't decide this time what I want to do. I know I will practice and go into it with the mindset that I do not want to get the epidural, but if it gets to that point where I just am tired or exhausted or just done and it's just too overwhelming, especially with the anxiety I've been having I would be okay with getting an epidural. I think afterwards I might be a little disappointed because it is such a unique and different experience to have that unmedicated birth, and there's just something about it that you can't describe that's so amazing, and I know I'm gonna miss that if I get an epidural. It won't feel the same, but I think I can accept the fact that I'm human, and if I decide to get epidural, okay, like, that's how it's gonna happen. So overall, I'm gonna say no. I'm going to ask them not to offer me an epidural. I am not against, again, having IV medication like I did with Lincoln. Once the baby is born, I'm planning on immediate skin to skin. Lincoln is my only baby where I got to experience that, and I loved it, and it was amazing. I would like to keep him longer. Last time I got skin to skin, but they took him away pretty fast to do vitals and stuff, and I would like to have it longer. So this time I'm going to ask if I can keep him longer before they take him. I am planning on breastfeeding this baby if all goes well. I have breastfed all my kids so far, so I'm planning on that working out again. Again, babies, you never know. But as of now, we will not be doing any sort of formula or supplementing as long as breastfeeding goes really good. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is posting on social media and YouTube about the birth. I'm kind of on the fence. It just depends. If we film the birth, I know we'll vlog around the birth. I don't know if we'll vlog the actual delivery, but if we do, it would take a while to get up because it's gonna be my 4th kid and my baby, and it's gonna be crazy. But we would put that up. It would be probably a couple weeks. As for pictures, we would probably post a lot sooner on Instagram. If you're not following our Instagram page, it is Those Crazy White People 6 on Instagram. And you would definitely see pictures and little video clips there first. And we are very excited. We always say we're not gonna like tell anyone we're in labor right away or things like that, but we probably will. Because Greg and I get so excited and we just have to share all our good news. So I'll definitely probably have Greg be posting labor updates and things like that on Instagram during the time I'm in labor, depending on how we feel. If not, it'll be a little bit after. But as of right now, I'm feeling like it'll be pretty up to date on our Instagram page and possibly Facebook page if at that point we decide to open one. We haven't yet, but we'll see. Anyways, I think that's everything about my birth plan. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. If she comes around the same time Lincoln did, we are less than 10 weeks away, which is so crazy. I am kind of freaking out. I am excited. I am scared. I am a jumble of emotions. So anyways, guys, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe. We are doing Veda. This is day 4, I think. Day 4. So come along on this crazy journey to our new baby and get to know the rest of my family as well. I'll have lots of links down below in the description if you would like to get to know us better. And I think that's everything. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. It will be a vlog of Bentley's birthday because today is his birthday and he's 6. And I can't believe it. And I'm so excited. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Bye. I'm 29 weeks and like 3 days today, which means